Hello, everybody. It is great to be here again today. And my name is Gary Fowler, and I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under my belt. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded to Dr. David Yang. We believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. So it's great to have you all here again today. So today I have an incredible guest, Dr. Robert Davis. He's an entrepreneur. He's a motorcyclist. He's an adventurer. He's an all-around good guy. He's an investor. So I'd like to bring him on. We're going to talk about his background. We're going to talk about his investments. We're going to talk about how in the world does somebody go from a doctor to becoming an investor and one of the top in the world. So with that, I'd like to bring Robert on. How you doing, Robert?
Hi, how you doing? Great to see you and do this with you. Very impressive background, Gary. You're a stud.
I don't know if I'm a stud. I just been around the block a few years. You know, you get used to it. So I got a question for you. How in the world did you get involved in motorcycles?
Oh,
I'm going to throw you sideways.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, that's a question I love. So during that, that's a great question. So I'm a physician, University of Michigan undergrad, University of Miami School of Medicine, and then I trained in internal medicine here in Nevada, Las Vegas. And by the way, any of your guests, you come to Vegas, my golf club lunch, let me treat you. Now watch, I have like 10,000 people showing up. But
be careful what you ask for.
I know, right? Yeah, and and for the last 20 plus years, we've been investing in med tech, biotech, pharma, oil and gas, gaming. We have some ownership in some luxury brand car dealerships, all kinds of things. But motorcycles. So when COVID hit, and there were no cars on the road, and the only thing that was open was Walmart or Target or the car dealerships. And our governor, in all his wisdom, said the only thing you can do is go to these essential service places or go exercise. And I kind of took that to an extreme, and my wife and I got in our car and we went up to Zion National Park one weekend, and then we went to Bryce Canyon another weekend to exercise, and Cathedral Gorge to exercise. I'd see these, and there were no cars in the road. There was no one there, and you think you're going to die. The world is over, and this is it, end of days, the apocalypse. But you would see these couples on these big old Harleys, and the big two-seaters, the road glides. And so I thought, you know what, if I'm going in for it, I want to get another bike. Or if I say bike, I mean motorcycle. So the only things that were open were the dealerships. I went down to Harley, and I saw this big old 1,000-pound Road Glide Limited two-seater, big bike. And I thought, well, when I was in medical school, I had a bike one summer. I could do this. So I bought it, but I didn't have a license, so I had to do the course, which was one of the very few things that was open. Did the course. Was terrified because there's an XER dock, where I took care of all these motorcycle accidents. I thought, okay, this is going to be me. I'm going 5 miles an hour. I think I'm going to die in the course. And I'm on a 500-pound, 500cc bike. And so I got a 0 score, which is perfect, no demerits on the test. And I had him deliver my bike, my motorcycle, and I took it out into the cul-de-sac in front of my house, and I dumped it twice.
Wow.
I was so upset. Oh man, I got ripped off. I want my money back, $54,000 or whatever I spent. And so it sat in my garage for 3 weeks, or for 2 weeks. And then I found the former police sergeant who trained all the motorcycle cops in Nevada for LVPD for 20 years, and then did exhibition riding for Harley for 10 years. I hired him privately to come to my house at 5 in the morning, 3 days a week. 3 weeks later, And now 2 years or more than 2 years later, I bought 11 motorcycles. I've got
Wow.
four in my garage now and probably have ridden 40 plus thousand miles. I just got addicted. I did the California Superbike School and did that three different level courses and all kinds of crazy stuff. But I find riding just such an exhilarating experience. You take a car and you ride 10 miles to your office, to a park, to a movies, and it's a non-event. You ride a motorcycle that same 10 miles and the book, The Art of Motorcycle Riding, and or the Zen of a Motorcycle, and
I
it's just
remember the Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
yeah, it's just a whole different experience. The only thing is you've really got to pay attention because you're really putting your life on the line because there are idiots out there who are on these and not paying attention to you. But in Vegas and Nevada, it's just such a great place to ride, and there's so many amazing places to go to, and I just love it. And frankly, I think everyone should go through the course and get a motorcycle license because it really offers you an incredible sense of freedom. And for those people who are sedentary, it's a light exercise too. So you're really, you're doing isometric exercise, and if you're on a big heavy bike like my Harley Road Glide Limited, it's over 1,000 pounds, and I upgraded the engine from a 114 to 131, so it's got 50% more horsepower and 27.5% more torque. That bike's heavy, so real heavy. That's actually the hardest bike to ride. I've got a Ducati Street Fighter V4S and a Aprilia RS V4 factory superbike. I love that. And then a BMW K1600B. That's at least as of today, that's in my stable. And my wife gave me permission, most importantly.
Wow, that's great. So when you're riding the motorcycle, how in the world did you stop from? Because I know the bikes get really heavy. How do you get to the point where you don't fall off the bike like a really heavy Harley? What's the secret of not falling off?
When in doubt, power out. The secret, it's a lot of motorcycle riding is contrarian to driving a car. So if I'm in a car steering and I look left, I'm still going straight. If I'm on a motorcycle, my hands are on the bars, and I turn left, I'm going to go left. I turn my head left, or by my body. So, in fact, that's going slow. When you go fast, it's really counter steering. So if I'm going more than 10, 12 miles an hour, if I want to turn right, I push on the right handlebar. Now, when you think about that, what you think you're doing is turn the bike left. In reality, you're pushing down, and it sends the bike in that right direction. So a lot of that is just stuff you have to get enough hours to feel it, and and really become the Zen, right, with the motorcycle. But stopping in the smaller bikes, the Aprilia, which is a super bike, the Ducati, they're pretty easy because they're very light, about 450 pounds wet, meaning with fuel, with gas. The BMW K1600B, which is, you see a lot of cops will ride similar bikes to that. It's about 700 pounds, but very low to the ground, the center of gravity. That's easy too. The Harley is a big old bike with a seat in the back and a tour pack. And with that, it's really about balance, especially if my wife's on the back. I got to get her to stay real still. But you want to, you use a lot of your back brake to stand the bike up. And then when you come to a stop, now I'm not a big guy, I'm 5'10", about 155 pounds. I got to spread my legs real wide. So on a wide stand. And then with some bikes, and they're all just a little bit different, this one has brake hold if you're on a hill, so it'll keep the back brake engaged. Or the other thing is you want to just give it a little bit of throttle and then let the clutch out a little bit, so you've got just some sense of momentum you're ready to go in case the guy behind you doesn't stop. You don't want to
No.
get hit from behind. Yeah.
Now, have you ever had any close calls while you're riding your motorcycle?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, I was in. That's a really great question. Um, I used to listen to a lot of books while I was riding my bike or motorcycle, and I'd go on these long rides. Um, that could be potentially dangerous because what you start to do is zone out a little bit. I mean, especially with the Harley, because it's like seeing it, watching Sunday night football and or, and sitting in your lounge chair. I mean, it's so relaxing. But I was actually listening to a book. I don't even remember what the book was. And I was riding through Lake Mead to go to Boulder City from Las Vegas to go to this restaurant where all the bikers go. And the bikers are guys like me and on the week, entrepreneurs, lawyers, doctors, who have this middle-age crisis. Well, you're not middle-age, you're a young guy, but middle-age crisis. And so I was riding up there to go to a restaurant, and I was just listening to the book and looking at the grandeur of Lake Mead, which it was just so beautiful, such a beautiful day, and I wasn't paying attention, and I almost ran into the median because it was two lanes, and then it split into uh, 2 and 2 with a median, and I didn't see it. I almost hit that.
Oh my
Um,
God.
I really, because I wasn't focused on my ride, and kind of after that, I thought, um, uh, this is a dangerous sport hobby. I want to get out. I want to enjoy it, but I don't want to die or get into an accident. The other thing I do, it's called AGAT, all gear all the time. Is I'm that guy who I'm going to have full gear leathers, even chaps, especially leather chaps, especially if I'm riding the Harley because it rides really hot. Um, uh, because if you're going to go down, or if I'm riding the super bikes or the Ducati or the Aprilia, I'll actually wear an air vest top underneath a jacket, a race jacket. So that would deploy if there's a sudden stop before you hit, because it's going to blow up and protect your shoulders and your back and stuff.
Well, how does it know that? How does it know to deploy?
Yeah, it's got sensors in it that when there's a sudden change of direction or a sudden stop, that then it causes the airbag to, it's got small CO2 cartridges that causes it
Oh my
to blow
God,
up.
that sounds like a life preserver. Like they have on a plane.
Yeah, it does. Except you don't want to. It makes me a little bit nervous. I don't want to be riding in regular traffic and it deploys for some reason. But I don't wear it if I'm on the big bike, the Harley or the BMW. But if I'm on the race bikes, I'm going to wear it. I just think it adds another level of safety. I know a lot of guys who will wear the full leathers too when they ride. The race suits.
Yeah. I don't know how they do it because they got to be really hot. I got to be honest with you. I see the guys in them. You got to be sweating like crazy with those on.
Well, you don't ride when it's over 95, 85 degree, 85. It just, well, maybe, but maybe 90. I think then it starts to not be so much fun. Yeah, especially in those suits. And then you've got to really hydrate and make sure you're taking your electrolytes. That's a real big deal. But I've been on my Harley when it's been 117 coming back from.
God. What were you doing? You just wanted to abuse yourself or what?
Well, that was terrible. That was I was with one of my riding buddies, and we went up to Zion National Park, which was cooler up there. And then we were coming down, and it was right by Mosquito. It was 117. That was just not fun. I mean, you've got little vests that you can soak with water, and it evaporates, and there's all kinds of gadgets. But at the end of the day, it's time to park the bike. If you're going to ride in that kind of weather, which I just won't do anymore, it's not fun. I'm going to do it really early in the morning.
So tell me, how did you go from being a doctor to being an investor? What did you have a the light go
That's
off
a
one day and say, "Oh, I want to do this," and I don't want to work in emergency rooms and all. I want to change the world a different way.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I worked as a ER and ambulatory care doc for about 10 years. And I just, a great thing to do. I was working in a number of tertiary facilities and smaller emergency rooms in New Mexico and Iowa and stuff. And, I was acting more as a family physician than an ER doc. And I just, at some point, I just wanted to do something else. And I had a buddy who had a medical device company that needed some help, and that was kind of a natural. And one thing led to another, and 20 years later, here I am. And I find that you still have that DNA, the doctor DNA in you. I mean, you want to do good and help people, and very actively involved in a number of charities. I think it's really important to give back to make this a better world. Whether you do something silently and don't get credit, or you have a foundation, and it really doesn't matter. I think it's just I've been very actively involved in, for example, neonatal rescue that provides analog, not digital, ventilators in low resource settings. So we deployed in Zambia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Uganda with Clinton Healthcare Initiative, and Sierra Leone about 1,500 ventilators, and saved about 15,000 lives last year. So those kinds of things are really important to me. Looking at doing a deal right now in the food services space in some airports. And I'm going to give back 20% of our interest to a Latino charity of my partner's choice. So just stuff like you can make a lot of money, and so what, right? And maybe I think maybe that kind of epiphany, really, when COVID first hit, I started really kind of rethinking what's important and really what I wanted to do with my life. And it's not about, a lot of guys do this because of their legacy or for their family. And that's terrific. I just do it because it's the right thing to do, and it really surpasses politics. It's not about being a Democrat or Republican or independent or whatever you are. It's just about being a good person and trying to make a difference. Because unfortunately, we're not going to live forever. I wish I would, but that ain't going to happen. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
here
it's interesting. You say that. I think a lot of people during COVID understand that, life is precious. My wife's mother got it and died in like a week, from COVID, and so you all of a sudden you understand how precious life is, and my speech at the UN was called "Technology is a Tool for Peace" a year ago, and I told them directly, and obviously the Russians didn't listen. But I said, we've got to go down through and make this world a better place and figure out how we can work together. Mother Teresa said it's not about stopping war, it's about pro peace. We better figure it out. We got a whole lot of challenges with global warming. I mean, look at the weather patterns. We studied them 25 years ago and we were telling people, and now look. We got to figure out how to work together to make this world a better place, how we can feed everybody. By 2050, you have to double the food supply to feed everybody, and you can't increase the number of cows because 26% of the pollution is methane gas from cattle. So let's figure out how we can create more food. What are we going to do when average temperatures around the world go up 7 degrees Fahrenheit by the end of this century? You're talking about sea level increases anywhere from 3 to 7 feet. 3 to 7 feet means places like Mumbai, India, are going to be underwater.
Yeah. Yep.
So tell me, now as you're going down through these deals, now what's the most exciting deal that you ever put together? And you said, this is my unicorn on it. What was that deal when you had that you know experience?
Well,
Aha
I
experience.
you know, this is going to sound trite, but I don't. So our thesis, and that's a great question. I mean, you could look up, what's the definition of a unicorn, and some people are, lucky enough to be involved with those, companies that return 20 times invested capital. Say you invest $1 million, you get 20 million back, or that have a valuation of over $1 billion and stay private. And you think of unicorns like Uber, Airbnb, SpaceX, Instacart, ByteDance. There's all kinds of them. And I think, boy, I think that, um, you know, uh, what what is the most exciting deal I've done? It's the whatever deal I'm in right now. And
Hmm.
I know that might sound trite, but I'm the guy like Jim Jones. If I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, then I shouldn't be doing it.
Hmm.
I think that we'll do one or two, maybe three deals a year. Our thesis is a little different. We do partnership deals. We look for really great people with great ideas. We've done a lot of Series A or Series B deal pre-revenue, and really now have kind of pivoted toward companies that have some revenue but really need help with growth. We'll put some money in. We'll bring in some other family offices or strategics or institutional partners. We don't take a fee. So all the money goes in the deal because we want to be a true partner where we could actually add value, also from a growth management perspective, business development, marketing strategy. So I'm really looking for, so what's my unicorn? What's the most excited? I'm looking for whatever I'm doing. I want to be sure that when we partner with people and do stuff, it's going to be impactful and important. Now you can say, well, you own some car dealerships and you're in the oil and gas business, and that's not impactful and important, and that's not ESG. Well, you're providing jobs, right? And I think people forget that and look, I love doing ESG stuff. There's no question about that. But at the end of the day, we're providing jobs, we're helping people, and so I think I'm just looking for really for great opportunities with great people. And luck, you got to be lucky. You got to be in the right place at the right time. And you want to find companies that have a disruptive initiative and maybe first mover advantage and focus on tech and there's a global market opportunity for sure about that. Um, but so that's a long non-answer to your question.
Well, so
But that's
why
kind
did you invest in a car dealership? What was it about that was interesting? And what kind of car dealership is it?
Well, we partnered with this brilliant guy, Garth Blumenthal, who owns Temecula Mercedes. Just brilliant guy, great operator. Had the number one Mercedes dealership and frankly car dealership in the U.S. For many years at Newport Mercedes, where he's the general manager. Started his own dealership and wanted to grow. We were fortunate enough, lucky enough to partner with him, and we acquired some interest in Audi mission vehicle, Volvo mission vehicle, and we've been looking for more. I've always wanted to be in that bit, and of course now you've got Mercedes, for instance, is moving to the electric vehicles, and Volvo and Audi, etc. But I always wanted it to be in that business. I knew a lot of guys who owned dealerships, and I thought it would be interesting. I think I just like to learn about new businesses, new opportunities, and these guys are just brilliant and smart and super customer service oriented. And if you're going to buy a car, you should buy it for an Audi or Volvo or Mercedes. Get it from them. They're going to give you a great deal. I mean, these are and this is stuff I'm saying from passion, because it's truthful and these are good guys. So opportunity came to, it was a referral. I initially turned them down. I wasn't interested. And 3 months later, they came back to me. I thought, okay, let me take a look. And, the rest is history. So I'm blessed to have that opportunity.
So I got a question for you. As coming being a doctor, there's a lot of intellectualization involved. When was a time that you were, as a doctor, that all of a sudden, the compassion came out, and you saw a patient not as a, as an object? And I know it happens a lot, right? But did you ever feel like that as a doctor, that, there was just something, maybe as a little child or somebody, that just struck you internally, and you said, you really felt bad for the situation you're in? Did that ever happen?
All you know, I remember being 4 years old and always wanting to be a physician. That was kind of maybe my parents brainwashed me growing up. It's always been in my DNA. Yeah, and I think, I mean, I've always been, it's really hard even now for me to because I'm so passionate. My heart really goes out. I really want to help people. It's really hard for me to see people struggle, and not do well, either physically or emotionally, mentally. And I think part of why I did this pivot and am doing what I do now is I just thought it would be an opportunity where I could really be more impactful and help more people and do more good, frankly.
No, that's great. All right. Well, we're coming up to the top of the show. Closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm at, you could go to our website, www.rdheritage.net. You could send me an email, rdavismd@rdheritage.net, and be happy to respond. And I open the show up. I always invite people to my golf club for lunch. It's an honest invite. I like to meet new people. So if someone's gonna reach out, you got a new friend in Vegas.
Well, we
So
have up to 50,000 people watch the show through all these different channels. So have a
I'm
lot
gonna
of
have a
fun.
big bill at my club. Uh-oh.
That's great. Well, enjoy yourself. All right. Thank you very much, Robert. And thanks to all my guests for enjoying our show and joining us today. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm the host of GSD Presents, Silicon Valley AI and Tech. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. I'll see you again next week for another exciting edition. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks again, Robert. We appreciate it.